First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rokah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and a sincere salutation to you, Akim, and you, Aqua, to believe in all sincerity. So as you see here, the title of this article, Trump won't deport Prince Harry. He's got enough problems with his wife. It says, U.S. President Donald Trump says he has no plans to deport Prince Harry, saying that self-exiled royal has enough problems with his wife, Meghan Markle. Trump's swipe at Markle came during an interview with the New York Post, which asked if the president planned to kick the prince out of the country amid ongoing questions about his immigration status. I don't want to do that. I'll leave him alone. He's got enough problems with his wife. She's terrible, he told the Post. The Heritage Foundation, the right-wing think tank behind Project 2025, the presidency blueprint that Trump has been heavily mirroring in the early weeks of his second term, has been pushing to know more about Prince immigration status and records ever since the royal admitted to using drugs in the past in his memoir. It says the think tank wants Harry's immigration paperwork released, arguing there's a possibility the Duke of Sussex lied on his forms about his past drug use or received special treatment from Joe Biden's administration to enter the U.S. They want to know so badly. In fact, they sued the Department of Homeland Security after rejected the Heritage Foundation's Freedom of Information Act request to release Harry's record. Okay. And I'm going to leave it there on this article. But as you see here, Trump's going to leave this guy alone. They're not going to probe into his immigration status. And that's interesting, seeing as how, you Northern Kingdom, you Latinos, are getting harassed, okay, to the point where, you got a lot of Jake out there protesting, in the major cities here in America. But it goes to show you how much of a hypocritical nation, America is. Okay, let's see. You can read the rest of this article. Pretty much that was it. But Trump won't deport Prince Harry. He's got enough problems with his wife. Let's get this article. It says, Trump says some white South Africans are oppressed and could be resettled in the U.S. They say no thanks. Cape Town, South Africa. Groups representing some of South Africa's white minority responded Saturday to a plan by President Donald Trump to offer them refuge status and resettlement in the United States by saying thanks, but no thanks. The plan was detailed in an executive order Trump signed Friday that stopped all aid and financial assistance to South Africa as punishment for what the Trump administration said were rights violations by the government against some of its white citizens. The Trump administration accused the South African government of allowing violent attacks of white Afrikaner farmers and introducing a land expropriation law that enables it to seize ethnic minority Afrikaners' agricultural property without compensation. The South African government has denied there are any concerted attacks on white farmers and has said that Trump's description of the new land law is full of misinformation and distortions. Afrikaners are descended from mainly Dutch, but also French and German colonial settlers who first arrived in South Africa more than 300 years ago. They speak Afrikaans, a language derived from Dutch that developed in South Africa, and are distinct from other white South Africans who come from British or other backgrounds. Together, whites make up around 7% of South Africa's population of 62 million. On Saturday, two of the most prominent groups representing Afrikaners said they would not be taking up Trump's offer of resettlement in the U.S. Our members work here and want to stay here. And they are going to stay here, said Dirk Herman, chief executive of the Afrikaner Trade Union Solidarity, which says it represents around 2 million people. We are committed to build a future here. We are not going anywhere. At the same press conference, Kaylee Creel, the CEO of the Afrikaner lobby group AfriForum, said we have to state categorically we don't want to move elsewhere. Trump's move to sanction South Africa, a key U.S. trading partner in Africa, came after his South African-born advisor, Elon Musk, have accused its black leadership of having an anti-white stance. But the portrayal of Afrikaners as a downtrodden group that needed to be saved would surprise most South Africans. It is ironic that the executive order makes provision for refugee status in the U.S. for a group of South Africa that remains amongst the most economically privileged, South Africa's foreign ministry said. You see? I'm going to continue. It also criticized the Trump administration's own policies, saying the focus on Afrikaners came while vulnerable people in the U.S. from other parts of the world are being deported and denied asylum despite real hardship. You see? So the foreign minister of South Africa is saying, that the Trump administration's own policies on the South Afrikaners came while vulnerable people in the U.S., which is who you jakes, and from other parts of the world are being deported and denied asylum despite real hardship. Okay? So you see the hypocrisy. And look at this guy, Elon Musk is from South Africa. You know? How come they ain't messing with him? You know, how come they ain't messing with Prince Harry and finding out their immigration status? What does it say here? The judge, who has been shown some but not all of Harry's immigration records, said he's also considering whether to request more records from the government and whether to call in an outside expert as a consultant. So you can see that they're for white people, because these South Afrikaners, farmers, okay, that's land is getting seized. All right, they're white. What does it say here? They're from what? Dutch, but also French and German colonial settlers. So now they're trying to call, the South African government racist towards whites. That's BS, bro. Let's see. Right. It says right here, South African advisor Elon Musk have accused its black leadership of having anti-white stance. Esau don't like to be Esau don't like to be messed with, man. Okay, because it says here the Trump administration accused the South African government of allowing violent attacks on white African farmers, introducing a land expropriation law that enabled it to seize minority Africans' agricultural property without compensation. But they're saying the South African government are denying those attacks, and they're saying that Trump's description of the new law is full of misinformation and distortions. And what is Trump, big old nose doing where it don't belong? You see? It's interesting. But look at the hypocrisy, man. Look at the hypocrisy of United States, and its leaders like Donald Trump coming to the white South African aid when there's people here, that are being deported, and people that are denied asylum despite real hardship. It says there was a campaign of misinformation and propaganda aimed at South Africa, the ministry said. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, spokesperson, said South Africa is a constitutional democracy. We value all South Africans, black and white. The assertion that Afrikaners face arbitrary deprivation and therefore need to flee the country of their birth is an assertion devoid of all truth. And that's what these devils do. They don't have all the information, but yet they'll cook up a story and make it seem like other people are oppressed so they can go in there, and enact unrighteous decrees. What does it say here? Whites in South Africa still generally have a much better standard of living than blacks. More than 30 years after the end of the apartheid system of white minority rule in 1994. Despite being a small minority, whites own around 70% of South Africa's private farmland. A study in 2021 by the South Africa Human Rights Commission said 1% of whites were living in poverty compared to 64% of blacks. You see? You can read the rest, but I just wanted to point out the hypocrisy, that Edomites have. Okay, but you see that you have dark color skin and they're quick to oppress, and they don't want to ask, about Prince Harry's immigration status. These people move freely throughout the world. They ain't got to show no papers. I'll leave him alone. They ain't saying that to you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Here they are coming to South African farmers' aid, okay, and want to give them refugee status and resettlement in the United States. But they won't do it to people that were actually born here. So-called Latino Americans. It just goes to show you the loopholes in Esau's system, the hypocrisy. This is Job 20:5. It says, let's see, let's go there. Job 20:4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment? You see, so the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite is but for a moment. Right? It's just a moment that hypocrites can, like these devils can actually, do what they do. Because here it is, they enact laws. Okay, for you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, but yet they're over here helping, whites. Okay, get refugee status and resettlement in the United States. That's crazy. Here it is. This guy, he don't get questioned about his immigration status. Prince Harry. He received special treatment from Joe Biden's administration to enter the U.S. Right? There's a possibility that the Duke of Sussex lied on his forms about his past drug use or received special treatment. Yeah. These dudes commit crimes and they get away with it. And get move freely in and out of countries, all right? Then they don't want to bring out the their information, their records. They'll be whole criminals, man, committing felonies. And you know what? I'm gonna say this, and I'm not sure, but this Meghan Markle, his wife, what does it say here? Years later, in 2019, before a presidential visit to the UK, Trump dismissed her comments, saying, I didn't know she was nasty. A year later, he said, I'm not a fan of her. I wish a lot of luck to Harry. He's going to need it. Talking about his wife. Let's see. Because let's get this real quick. Let's look. I'm gonna look something up real quick. This Meghan Markle, because I want to say she's a Jake. It's like born in L.A. or something like that. Is an American member of the British royal family, media personality, and former actress. She is married to Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, the younger son of King Charles III. Look, yep, born Los Angeles, California. And look at her. She might be a Jake. Like, let's see, early life. She identifies as mixed race. My dad is Caucasian and my mom is African American. I'm half black and half white. Her parents, makeup artist Doria Ragland. And I'm gonna say this, the Spirit has had me think, sometimes that, so-called white dudes, they get with certain Judites, they could be Jakes themselves. Look at her color. It's interesting that they call her nasty. Why? Because she's quote unquote half, or is she a Jake? Because the royal family, they're into doing pedigrees. Just a thought. But let's go back to Job 20:5. That the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Okay. Yeah, they're hypocrites, man. Hypocrite. Yeah. This is Job chapter 34 and 30. That the hypocrite reign not, lest the people be ensnared. Let's get this word ensnared.
Strong's H 4170. Mokesh.
Bait, lure, snare. Yeah. NLT, he prevents the godless from ruling so they cannot be a snare to the people, right? And see, that's the thing. That's the thing, because you confuse the people. That's why there has to be a true righteous authority in the earth, and that can only come, when Yahweh Bashem El Shai, all right, takes this devil out of power, because the people are ensnared. Here it is, they're over there helping, right, South Africaners, putting their nose where it don't belong, trying to give them refugee status, reset them in the U.S., but Jose or Martinez or whatever the case can't stay here, Jesus Ramirez, right? That's interesting. It's interesting how they do the Northern Kingdom. It's let's see. It's interesting how they coming for Israelites. They ain't too worried about these other nations. You don't see Filipinos, Vietnamese, Chinese, Hong Kong, Japanese people get harassed, but Northern Kingdom, hey, they're deporting them left and right. Yeah, the people are ensnared. People are watching, looking over their backs here in America. and dudes could commit crimes and their, immigration records, could be denied for the crimes they commit. They have felonies, but yet they're letting them operate and come in and out the country, pardoning them, And Joe Biden pardoned a bunch of his family, so he erased their criminal records. It says, Proverbs 11:9, a hypocrite with his mouth destroys his neighbor, but through knowledge shall the just be delivered. Right. So, yeah, they destroy, the Israelites, by what they speak, by their laws. And we're the ones that are ensnared. It says, but through knowledge shall the just be delivered. And it's his truth. that the righteous are going to be delivered, and see through the lies. See through the scriptures speak of mischief being framed by a law. 10, when it goeth well with the righteous, the city rejoices, and when the wicked perish, there is shouting, right? So they're going to be shouting when the wicked perish, man. And the city's going to rejoice when it goeth well with the righteous. And we're waiting, to get delivered out of this captivity, because there's a lot of unrighteous decrees. This is Proverbs 11:11. By the blessing of the upright, the city is exalted. Right, the upright, the city is going to be exalted, because that's really who can make a city prosper, is the upright. That's how governments are truly established, by the law of the Most High. Where do you think the government got the laws from? They get it from the scriptures. That's the true way to govern the world, is by this word, by this law. But it is overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. You see? Let's get this word overthrown. It's overthrown.
Strong's H 2040. Harass. Harass.
To tear down, break down, overthrow, beat down, break through, destroy, plug down, pull down, throw down, ruin, destroyer utterly. Yeah. The city is ruined by the mouth of the wicked, by what they do, how their unrighteous decrees. Let's get that. Decrees. Whoop. Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. NLT, what sorrow awaits the unjust judges and those who issue unfair laws. You see? Unfair laws. Yeah, they're over here deporting, Ricardo Dominguez, They won't do nothing to these devils. What it say here? I like to go back to these articles and read. Yeah. The Foreign Ministry of South Africa said it also criticized the Trump administration's own policy, saying the focus on Afrikaners came while vulnerable people in the U.S. from other parts of the world are being deported and denied asylum despite real hardship. Who are those vulnerable people in the U.S.? That's talking about you Jakes. And many countries have criticized the United States for their immigration policies, okay? And they're sticking their nose, where it doesn't belong, but yet they have to, basically clean up your own yard, so to speak. I think it was Mexico that was saying something like that to a couple years back to the U.S. Here you're talking about us in cartels when you guys got a slavery issue going on, Look at how you do y'all citizens. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and the right grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment. Right? Who's the needy? You Israelites. From judgment, to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. Right? They're offending the little ones. Jakes that need real judgment. Well, what did it just say? While vulnerable people in the U.S. from other parts of the world are being deported, you see? They take away the right of the poor of my people. Vulnerable, poor, same difference. The widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. And that's what they do. Jake doesn't care about the old or the young. Esau don't care about the old or the young. Salakia. Esau don't care about the old or the young. He heavily lays the yoke on you Jakes with these unrighteous decrees, but yet, here he is sticking his nose where it don't belong, giving Edomites passes. Dudes are criminals, man. Lord willing, you are edified. Shalom.